Hi, David Brooks here from Retire Smart, talking about the biggest mistakes we see people make over and over again as they step into retirement. So these are in no particular order, but the biggest mistake I typically see is people do not take their foot off the gas. They do not reassess and reallocate their portfolio when they're getting within a few years of retirement. If you're less than 36 months away from retirement and are still investing in an aggressive stance the way you may have started when you were 25 years old, that may be a huge mistake. The reason is what's called sequence of returns. We can't predict with great certainty when the market's going to go up. We do know from history and data the market is most likely going to continue and go up over time. And it's going to go up 6 or 7 years out of every 10. But within that window, you're going to have 3 or 4 negative return years. And sometimes those negative return years can come consecutively. I've been in this business for over a quarter century, and I experienced just that, even trying to help my own parents set up for retirement many years ago. In 2000, 2001, and 2002, the equity markets lost double digits each year, 3 years in a row. If you are fully in aggressive mode and did not reallocate your portfolio, those folks, unfortunately, and there's a lot of data to support this, had to go back to work. They actually could not stay retired. So what can you do? Well, once you get within the retirement red zone, as we sometimes like to call it, you're within 3 to 5 years of retirement, you may want to sit down with a financial professional that works specifically with retirees to rebalance and reallocate your portfolio, your various investment accounts, 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, joint brokerage, it doesn't matter, to understand and assess the amount of risk or volatility that portfolio may sustain if the market were to go through a bear market, a recession in the economy, whatever may hit it. Then, as you get into retirement, do you have that portfolio set up to distribute the income you're going to want for retirement? Let's face it, without income, there is no retirement. So that is the number one risk, in my opinion, is people don't reassess the risk in their portfolio as they're about to set foot in retirement. Number two is when you do step into retirement, stepping into it without an actual plan. In other words, you just decided, I've done okay, I've saved up X amount of dollars. In today's world, a lot of people like to hit that $1 million number. A lot of people go well beyond that. But it doesn't matter the dollar amount you saved. It matters the withdrawal strategy, how you're going to turn that investment, those accounts, that portfolio into usable and sustainable income to last as long as you do. Longevity risk, in other words, the risk of living longer than you believe you will, is a very real threat to retirees today. Due to medical advances, people eating better, being healthier, going to the gym, all those things contribute to a longer life expectancy than our previous generations had. Our parents, my parents, are blessed to still be alive in their 80s. High probability that I am going to live that long or even longer. I must plan for that, and you must plan for that as well. So you need to have an actual retirement plan that starts with a written inflation-adjusted income plan. In other words, how much income are you going to want, and are you getting more every year? Have you inflation-adjusted it? Then you have to take that plan and look at how that income will be taxed. And this is where real critical planning can really help you. We can reduce here through proactive tax planning the average retiree's lifetime tax bill typically by more than $100,000. If you were to spend 25 years in retirement, that's about $4,000 a year in more take-home pay. That could provide for a vacation, for bucket list travel items, or just more money in your budget to enjoy your lifestyle. You have to factor taxes into that income plan. You need, again, as we talked about in mistake one, look at the risk management of that portfolio so the income will be consistent throughout your retirement. And then you need to assess your health and medical expenses in retirement, something that is often completely overlooked. With a complete holistic financial plan, we're going to address income, medical and health expenditures, legacy planning, how to pass assets on, risk management, and tax planning, all within what we call a SMART plan. Whoever you work with, make sure you're looking at all 5 of those key areas to have a successful, holistic retirement plan. But without a plan, that could be a big mistake. And the third issue we're going to talk about today is simply making bad decisions. You're making long-term decisions with short-term data. We've had many people walk into our office asking for help, but after they've made a terrible decision based on long-term, it's going to be a long-term decision, but they based on short-term data. In other words, the political season comes, there are elections, and people like one politician, hate another, etc. And they make entire decisions on how they're going to retire for the next 20 or 30 years, how their investments are going to be set up based on an election outcome, based on their boss not liking them, quitting their job when they're 3 years from retirement without understanding where they're going to get health care. Bad decisions can wreak havoc on your retirement. Do not let emotion or just the circumstances of the day, short-term circumstances, affect a long-term plan. You've been working 30 or 40 years to acquire a nest egg. You're about to set foot into retirement, into the golden years as they're supposed to be, but you let an emotional short-term decision change the trajectory of your entire retirement. And don't make nasty decisions when it comes to withdrawals from those accounts. Don't buy things that you don't really need and make. We've seen clients take distributions from retirement accounts to buy a new car out of an IRA, a 100% taxable event, pulling out $60,000 out of the account. They're going to give up $20,000 to the tax man, so they're going to have $40,000 to buy a new car that's going to depreciate every day. Those are terrible type decisions that we often see people make because they don't have a plan. So short-term decisions that affect you long-term on bad data. Don't make that mistake. That's just 3 big mistakes we often see here. Again, there's some resources below. You can read on a myriad of mistakes people make, from timing Social Security wrong, not having healthcare plans, to not thinking about how their kids may need help in the future, understanding if they're going to get an inheritance. All kinds of mistakes can be made. So we want to make sure you don't make critical mistakes. To get more content like this, click on some of the videos here, and don't forget to like and subscribe our channel and ring the bell when you'll be notified when we put a new video on the channel. God bless. Have a great day.